Hey everybody, and welcome to Why Did Ask For Chapter 18. We are now legally adults, and to commemorate such a fantastic achievement, what better way to celebrate than talk about all things Star Wars?
Yes, the Force is strong with this episode.
Yeah. So today, my name's Dan, as usual. With me is Pat.
I am here as well.
We also have joining us Banjo.
Hi, everybody.
And also joining us is Blue. She will be in at some point when her computer decides to fix its shit.
We're off to a miraculous start. We're 18 and ready to go buy cigarettes and lotto tickets and only good, wholesome things.
Yeah, or something like that.
And Star Wars tickets. Oh, yeah.
Star Wars tickets.
Yes.
So Blue is here. Say hi, Blue.
Hi.
There we go. So yes, we're here. We're recording this 3 days before the release of Star Wars Episode 7,
The Force
Awakens.
Yes.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know if I'm going to see it right away because of crazy people at the theaters and such. But yeah, here we go. We're going to talk all things Star Wars.
You know, I'm kind of excited in the sense that it's been so long that we've had a Star Wars movie, but I'm also scared out of my mind that we've waited this long for a redemption of Star Wars, and it's just there's that possibility, and I'm hoping the percentage lowers, that it's going to be another bomb, and it's just going to destroy my opinion of the franchise again. And I'm really hoping that's not the case, because I want to see a good Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give the benefit of the doubt. I mean, yeah, they brought back some of the old characters, being, Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie. But basically it's a brand new story that not many people have ever heard of before. And it's, as far as I can tell, it's far enough removed from episodes 4, 5, and 6 that I don't see how it can be any worse than episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Well, I'm hoping that we see some real progress on this. I know that J.J. Abrams is a huge Star Wars fan himself, and from a few articles that I've read, he had the same opinion of episode 1, 2, and 3. So I'm hoping he does the series justice. I really do.
Yeah, I was definitely gonna make the quip that we don't have not Luke Skywalker. We don't have George Lucas directing this time, so hopefully it'll rein in a lot of the crap that occurred in 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
But did he direct 1, 2, and 3?
He didn't have the same director as he did for 4, 5, and 6. I know that much, and that's why a lot of people are like, "That's why it sucked, because so and so wasn't there to tell him that's bullshit and you can't do that."
Yeah, I don't know. With Abrams is a pretty good director, so I think if anybody can, hit a home run with this next trilogy, I think it's him. So, I mean, we'll have to see. It's going to be a while before I see it. Like I said, I'm not going to rush to the theater opening day because it's just lineups are crazy. I mean, half the theaters are already sold out and have been for weeks,
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, I think it's safe to say I won't see the new movie until probably the new year sometime.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know when you guys plan on seeing it. Is anybody going to opening night?
I wish. I can.
Possibly opening day, but not opening night.
It's sold out everywhere in theaters in my area. It's almost frustrating.
Yeah.
And people have bought tickets, not just their first showing, but they've bought tickets for their second and third showing. So it's,
oh my God, really?
It's very difficult. I think even Blaine on the RT podcast had mentioned how he had already planned out his entire weekend with the different theaters he's going to go watch the movie at. And it's like, it's people like you that I hate. Why do you do
you think that was what do you think that was before or after the prank that they pulled on him?
Hopefully before. I want him to feel like he was going to watch Star Wars more than anybody else and then be totally devastated.
That was awesome. Did you guys watch that?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
you haven't watched it yet? Oh my God, it's glorious.
But I did see Blaine's post, but Blaine did a tweet or something on the Rooster Snap about it in excitement or whatever. And then that video came out a week later. So
he did a couple. There was a couple updates where I guess who gets to see it early, 4 days early or whatever. And he just kept putting it out there on social media. And then, I mean, he should have suspected things when Bernie hugged him. And B, when they're on the phone with that dude that's like, yeah, we're gonna send you up. He's like, all we need is for you, maybe do a couple costumes, maybe a couple of impressions.
Yeah.
And Blaine's like, yeah, I'd totally do that. It's like, you should have figured
That there was
working at Rooster Teeth, somebody's gonna give you an advanced screening and you have to do a bunch of shit like that first. Like, you should have,
they're messing with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have anyway, but I don't know. That's just me.
For our
Look,
listeners who may
it's
not
Blaine,
be
right?
aware. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, look, it's Blaine, all right? Sometimes he just gets over his head.
There you go. I was going to say, for the listeners who may not be familiar with Rooster Teeth, believe it or not, there is a company called Rooster Teeth based out of Austin that created a very funny video about one of their members going to a Star Wars screening. I'm sure we'll have it in the link dump. It is very, very hilarious.
Yeah. I might actually do links this week. Who knows?
Yeah. It's
I
okay. It won't
tend
be
to
off
get
by
lazy.
Ganondorf this time. That's why they're
I get through all the editing and shit, and then I'm like making up the blog post and putting up the podcast, and I go, I don't have any links for this. We didn't talk about much that's important. They can Google it if they need to.
We didn't talk a whole lot about stuff these last 3 weeks. That's not important. There's Google. The one link dump is Google.
That's all it is. It's just
I should just make that the permanent link on the fucking blog.
Embed
just
Google
links
search.
to Google.
It's terrible.
And I'll name it, instead of just having it say google.com, I'll just name it Podcast Companion.
There you go. It's terrible. So, how here at the Why Did Ask for podcast, and we ask the hard questions, right?
We do.
So I have a very difficult question for Banjo here.
Okay.
Banjo, what was your first experience with Star Wars?
Oh man, it was so long ago.
In a galaxy far, far away?
Well,
Damn
yes,
it, Pat.
obviously. But I don't. I must have been like on TV or something in the 90s before the digital re-release that they did.
So wait, so you've seen the actual like original uncut version?
Yeah, I have the VHSs from the 70s in my downstairs right now.
Nice.
Dude, I have never. My Star Wars story is a little bit different. I never actually watched the movies up until like maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
Dan.
I know.
Dan, get out.
But I've watched them all and I love them.
But he's hosting.
Get out.
But it wasn't.
How
Yeah,
can
it
you
wasn't
get
until like 5-6 years ago. Because like all my buddies at work were like, "Oh man, what do you mean you've never seen Star Wars?" I'm like, I meant to. I just never got around to it." And then my buddy brought in like episodes 4, 5, and 6 on DVD, and he's like, "Here, watch them." And that all came around because I was working as a part-time kid in the electronics department of a grocery store, and we had like demo TVs and we sold movies and shit like that. And like, when did I start there? 2005. So I think that was episode 3 that was out at that point.
Yeah.
And it was constantly playing on the TVs all day, right? And so like I would catch bits and pieces of it, and I'm like, there's no context to this. I don't understand. But the part that stood out to me was always when they're on the lava. You were the chosen one, and then he like cuts his legs off and shit like that.
Spoilers.
Like that
reference
scene,
one of the worst moments. In the entire...
I know, but like that scene always stuck with me. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Well, you weren't alone. You weren't alone.
And
Yeah.
and then so I started talking to my buddies and stuff, and they're like, "No, you got to see them like this, and that." But I never watched them in the order that they were released, which I should have. I watched them in numerical order.
Wow.
So having never seen 4, 5, and 6, I watched 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, and 6.
I think the
Oh,
problem...
I feel like it was spoiled for me.
No,
Go ahead, Blue.
you were spared the disappointment of growing up with those movies, 4, 5, and 6, and then seeing 1, 2, and 3, and growing up with them and realizing about around 3 just how terrible George Lucas is.
Terrible person. How
I
he
mean,
could
yeah, I
possibly
guess.
let this escape into the
I
world.
guess it was one of those things. Was like, if I watched it the other way, I would have gone through the whole thing with Luke and Leia. Like, oh man, they're totally into each other. That's gonna be awesome. And then, oh man, they're brother and sister. But for me, it was like I had already watched 1, 2, and 3. So like when they almost kiss and stuff like that in like episode 4, I'm like, no, don't, dude, it's your sister. So it was like, I don't know, just the experience for me was sort of ruined because I didn't watch them in the way that they were released.
And it totally probably destroyed the big reveal Empire Strikes Back to you.
It did.
So it was like
Yeah,
it was
that-
inconsequential. That I mean, it's weird because they're listed numerically like that, but I've had this
Yeah.
experience with people before who tell me that the only way you're going to appreciate the series is if you watch 4, 5, and 6 first, because then if you watch the first 3, then you're like, oh man, this whole thing is just terrible. But then if you watch 4, 5, and 6 first, then you're like, this is going to be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was really little, and I mean like super duper, like maybe 3, my mom was super into Star Trek and Star Wars, like incredible. Like she was the Star Trek nerd, and my dad was the Star Wars nerd. He adores it. He's got like lightsabers, and he comes home with random miscellaneous junk still, and he's almost 50, or he's like 45. But I grew up with both of them being like, oh yeah, you gotta watch Star Wars, and like 3. So my Star Wars story starts like super duper early, I guess you could say. And I saw the original VHSs in the 90s that were released in like the early 90s with the
Nice.
color coded VHS tapes with the minimal editing before Lucas went in and did the digital editing, because I have the worst edit he ever did on DVD. They're the special editions, and then I have the original VHSs, and I remember going into it like it's so casual to me that was like, oh, this is Star Wars. This is the thing that Dad loves. This is the thing that, he's got R2-D2 stuff and Star Wars Trivial Pursuit that he picked up at a garage sale. And, Phantom Menace came out and he was so excited, and so was I. And we saw it. And I just remember when I was really little, 1 was super exciting for me. Like, oh, Jesus, this is the coolest thing. And pod racing is awesome. And, and then and then 2 came out, and I was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of fluff, and I'm not old enough to appreciate the love stuff, because to me that was really boring. And as an adult, it's still boring. But as a kid, I was like,
I was going to say, to the rest of it, it was boring too.
Right. And then as an adult, like not as an adult, it came out in 2005. I was about to graduate junior high. Like we went and saw it. We couldn't see the midnight showing, so my dad took me in the middle of the night, like at a midnight showing that wasn't the premiere necessarily. It was like 2 days after, because he knew how much it meant to us. And we went and saw it, and I fell asleep for about 30 minutes and woke up, and both me and my dad left, and we were like, that really wasn't that great. I mean, it was good. We liked it, but it was like, God, that was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I tell you a dumb thing that happened to me?
Please do.
It was a very blonde moment, and I don't know what the hell was wrong with me, but so because I watched them out of order, I was familiar with Anakin, whatever the hell that actor's name was.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and then when I watched episode 6, it was like the digitally remastered, like after episode 3 was released, remastered.
Right.
So when I
I
got
know
to
what
the
you're getting
part
at.
where the ghosts show up, I was like, what? How the fuck did
Yeah.
how did they know what Anakin was gonna look like in the 70s?
Yeah, in the 80s when it came out. They knew that Hayden Christensen would look like that before he was born.
It was like the stupidest moment I ever had and it took me a few minutes to realize. I'm like, oh, okay, it was an editing thing, but like for a few minutes I was like, how the fuck did they know that guy was gonna
On the
It was
same
so
subject though, I was so mad when they fixed that to Hayden Christensen. It destroyed the perfect, like, well, not the perfect, because it was bloody Ewok party, but even that compared to the original Star Wars was
like wasn't it the original actor who played the voice or whatever?
I
Not
think
the voice,
no,
the
not
body.
the
No,
voice.
it was the body.
It was,
It'd be
it
the
was
suit
the
guy.
body.
that George Lucas had
Yeah.
banned from all conventions because he finds them annoying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the voice was
James Earl Jones.
that's it.
Mufasa.
All I could think of was Mufasa. Like, what the
Say
hell's
it
his
again.
name?
You come over here and talk baseball with me once a week.
Mufasa.
We'll call it even.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Right, Blue? Hey, Blue.
He's great in almost everything he does.
Yeah,
Blue,
he is.
Almost.
Why did
I don't know. I don't know
why
if
did
anything
Anakin
is bad, but I
Skywalker
don't know
cross the
everything.
road?
Don't you dare.
Why did Anakin Skywalker cross the road, Blue?
I'm not answering that, Pat.
Dan, help. Blue doesn't know the answer.
refuse. No,
To get to the dark side.
Yay!
Dan,
Yeah.
why would you? You
I'm
should
not-
have let that hanging.
I'm not proud of that.
They're both dads.
I
They're both dads.
he
I
was
know.
Pat was throwing me these little things that he has prepared a little bit before we started recording. And he threw me one and I was like, oh my God, that's almost as bad as this. And I threw out one. He's like, I'm adding it to the list. Fuck. I didn't mean to be a part of it, but you know.
You're a part of it. You're a dad. You tell dad jokes.
It happens.
You're gonna wear that plaque proud.
Okay, so I got another question for everybody. Okay, so
Sure.
Dan, when was the moment that, look, as we all kind of agree the first three movies, or not, the episode 1, 2, and 3 weren't the best representation of the Star Wars franchise.
Right.
At what point during that franchise did it lose you where you're like, okay, this is ridiculous. I can't take this seriously anymore? I want to say outside of the obvious, which is Shabba Ranks.
That's a tough one. I mean, not any particular character or anything. I don't know. I guess it was like the whininess of Hayden Christensen in episode 2. Like, I could get over all the Jar Jar stuff. Like, people like to shit on Jar Jar, but whatever. He was a character, and he's no worse than like Watu or whatever. But yeah, I think it was just how whiny he was. Because it really sort of reminds you that, oh yeah, he's in this relationship with a chick that's like twice his age.
Absolutely.
Right? Because in the first, well, I don't know, she's supposed to be like, what, 13 or 14 in episode 1?
Yeah.
Something like that. And he's like, what, 7?
Yeah.
8?
7 or 8, yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it's not that bad when...
I mean, it was twice his age when they met.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that was it for me anyway.
What about you, Benja?
Always stood out. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I was going to tack on to the whole relationship thing really quick. The thing that bothered me is when he talks about killing all the Jawas and she's just like staring at him unbelievably. You had a baby with that guy and he murdered all the Jawas. And you were like, oh, that's bad. But no, I'm still going to fuck him and have a kid. Okay, whatever.
Benja, what was... Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not really sure where it lost me, because when episode 1 came out, I did go see it in the theaters because, hey, it's Star Wars and no one knew any better yet. And I was 11, so pod racing was awesome. Darth Maul dying was okay, which was probably a bad idea in hindsight. And all that was nice because I could really relate with Anakin because I was almost his age, and it was great. But then it either didn't stick with me or something, because I never went to see episode 2 until after episode 3 came out in theaters, and I saw that.
You saw episode 3 before episode 2?
Yeah, I saw 4, 5, 6, 1, 3, 2.
Oh.
Honestly, I think that 3 would be a better movie if it was the only movie of the prequels.
But pod racing, Color. Pod racing.
Okay,
so
yeah.
for those
but
of the audience,
pod
hold on a
racing
second.
and Darth Maul does not save that fucking movie.
Hold on a second. So for those of us that aren't here live, our good friend Keller just joined us.
Yay!
Hello, sorry. We had a family Christmas crisis that I had to address, and I did not realize what time it was.
Shit happens. So what was the question, Pat? Maybe you could pose the question to Keller and get his response.
Keller, well, okay, because we were just discussing how we kind of all agree that the first 3 movies weren't necessarily the best representation of the franchise.
Oh, they were shit, yeah.
At what point during the first 3 movies did you realize, hey, this is probably not a good idea?
During the first 20 minutes of the first movie.
However,
I would say that the third movie is not as bad as a movie as people give it shit for. I think it is just fine as a movie on its own. On its own, though.
Yeah,
I think the problem
I would agree with that.
I think the problem is that it's preceded by one of the most boring fucking sci-fi movies imaginable, and a movie that is like half good and half atrocious.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair point.
But like, have you guys? I don't know if this has been talked about yet. Have you guys heard about the Topher Grace edit of the prequels?
Yes.
No.
Okay, Blue has. I don't know if it's been talked about, but there's an edit that Topher Grace did where he smashed all 3 of the prequel movies together and like recut them and like reordered some scenes so that like it just forms one coherent movie, and it actually starts with the Darth Maul fight.
Really?
And it is a 10 times better movie than any of the prequels on their own.
What's the runtime on it?
It's about 3 hours.
Oh, that's.
Like, it
Wow.
is
I mean,
long.
it's not as.
It is long as shit.
Well, it is 3
but
movies.
It is cut together like a long form normal movie.
It's not
Like,
as
it's
bad as I
not-
would have thought, though.
Oh yeah, for like a cut together 3 movies, it's fine. Like it covers the trade negotiations things just enough to where you get the point without making the movies about them,
Right.
and it makes sure to show more clearly the decline of Anakin over the course, because that's what the prequels were technically supposed to be about.
Yeah.
It, instead of like making that a background feature, it brings that to the foreground and pretty much like turns the movies around those.
That's actually a really good point, though. That the first
Yeah.
3 were supposed to be showing Anakin or showing Darth Vader's, slide into the dark
Yeah.
side. And it really did take a back seat to the
Oh,
whole
totally. But
love
I
story
think
and where the kids
partly-
came from. And
I would argue that is partly because of the cut Jar Jar Binks plotline. Because I genuinely do think, had they included that, because I'm fairly sure that was what they intended to do originally, if they had left that in the movie, that whole prequel series would have been 10 times better as a result.
What was the cut stuff again?
what are you talking about?
Has the Jar Jar theory been discussed in this podcast yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, let's start talking about it now, because I think this is where it becomes relevant. I think that because they cut that, because I think the theory is true, because it finally makes that character's placement make sense.
Okay, so boys, just for people out there that don't necessarily know, what's the theory in a nutshell?
So the theory is that in the original cut of the original planning of the prequel trilogy, Jar Jar Binks, who is well known as probably the worst character ever committed to film in anything, was supposed to, the plot was supposed to twist near the end of the first movie to show him as being like the orchestrator of everything, like a Sith Lord. I forget what his name is, but he's got a name in the Star Wars universe, like the ultimate Sith Lord, basically. But he is
Like Darth
like
Plagueis?
cast.
Something like that?
That might be it. I think that's it.
I mean, that's what
I think it's
Sidious
Darth
talked
Plagueis.
about.
It's Darth Plagueis. Basically, it was meant to cast him as being this bumbling, like, idiot of a character, but then around the scene in the first movie where you see Jar Jar fiddling with one of the things on the ship, the movie was supposed to show that was intentional, which I think it does anyway, but like without the context information of, oh, well, that's intentional, you don't really understand much of it. You think he's just being an idiot and tinkering with things.
Right.
But the original version was going to show him intentionally doing it, like a scene of him like having that like dark conversion moment. And he was ultimately going to be the orchestrator of everything that was happening to Anakin.
Well, that's
Wow.
a theory. I
So-
thought
That would have made
Reddit
a
pointed
lot
out.
more sense.
It is a theory, however, the amount of evidence for it and is just staggering. And not even just like what is there, but what is not there. Like, because without that information, there is genuinely zero reasoning plot-wise, or even like in George Lucas's fucking like post-original trilogy insanity, there's no logical reason to put him in that movie unless he was supposed to play a bigger role.
Well, you know why the Ewoks exist in the original 6 movie, right?
Not really.
No.
To
make it more enjoyable
people
for
who were
the-
funding it. Yeah, the original people who were funding it kind of held the 6th movie hostage and said, if you don't put something kid friendly in these movies, that they're gonna pull like the whole Star Wars.
Oh
project.
yeah, I've heard about
So
that. Yeah, okay.
So the Ewoks were inserted into the movie, and that's also why I think Jar Jar Binks got thrown into the movie too.
See, but I don't think so, because like he's not even kid friendly. Like as a character, he's not even kid friendly at all. Like
No, as a kid,
I can't-
a lot of kids that I knew loved him and Anakin, and then as we got older, it turned back into Obi-Wan because it's like, oh shit, Obi-Wan Kenobi is really cool, but Jar Jar
I can
Binks is
only ever
literally there
remember
for the
him
kids.
being hated. I only ever remember people finding him grating. Like, and it just, I can't think of any other reason why he would be there. Like, why he would hold so much significance that the council would just inherently trust him.
Do you think
Because
George
there is that
Lucas
scene
Yeah.
where he goes
writer.
before the council.
Do you think it's possible though that like hardcore Star Wars fans want so badly for the original for the first 3 not to suck that they created this theory about Jar Jar that would somehow salvage?
I mean,
the first
vaguely,
3?
yes. I could see that. However, if you read the original posting of it on Reddit, it details not only about how like, you know, there's no other reason for him to be included, but the scenes especially in which he's involved politically, there's no reason for him to be there whatsoever unless he was supposed to, unless like he already had an important role in the universe, but the movie just never talks about it.
No,
like,
Padme tells him to be
because there's
there.
no way they would bring him before the senators.
No, Padme tells
Or the
him to be
chancellors.
there in the second movie. She's like, I can't be there, Jar Jar, take my place. And then Jar Jar becomes...
No, but that's what I mean. Like, why would they inherently trust this bumbling idiot of a character? If he is really that bumbling of an idiot, why would any of them trust him enough to go before the council on their behalf? Especially Padme.
It literally boils down to George Lucas is a terrible fucking writer. Like, that is what it boils
See,
down
but I
to.
genuinely don't, like, I think he is. However, I really do think that if it's not the Jar Jar plot, there is some important plot that was supposed to be running throughout the trilogy that kicked off in the first movie that got cut last minute. And that's why the movies are so boring and disjointed. Like, I can't think of it, even if it's not the Jar Jar theory, there's some plot line that was supposed to be there that was not, because it does not explain why the movies would center around trade negotiations.
I love that theory, I really do, and you can ask Dan. I actually had that ready, open to go, but it's so common, like what Blue is talking about, where, and you always hear this about the Hollywood effect. Someone has an amazing story, concept, screenplay, and they take it to Hollywood, and then an effing producer gets a hold of it. And like Blue says, "Oh yeah, if you want us to,"
but I can't think of Lucas doing that. Like Lucas is such a control freak, like a notorious control freak.
Yeah, but he also loves the millions of dollars in Skywalker Ranch too.
Oh, he does.
So,
but like,
yeah,
I'm not
but
sure
I mean,
you understand
with his own property.
I
can't see him giving into a producer, especially because this is a secondary trilogy. Like with the success of the first trilogy, he could have taken that movie anywhere and been like, do it this way or it's not getting done.
Well, a lot of the brilliance to the original movies was credited to his producer / I think it was either producer or the director who would stop him and go, that doesn't make any sense, you can't do that, because then it overwrites what you just did. But it wasn't the producer that was holding him hostage. I think it was the investors, or the studio itself was like,
oh,
hey,
definitely. It was. I think it was all of the above.
Oh,
yeah,
there you
go.
Because his producer was wrangling him in.
Budget is why the first movie is so good. Like, because they had to tell him no. Because he physically could not do things.
Did you know that he had to reshoot that whole movie?
Oh, totally. And thank God. But, like...
That's just amazing. Like, I would just love to see the original...
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to see
cut.
that, honestly.
Just to see how bad
good.
it was.
I don't want to see it ruin.
Wasn't even called Star Wars
original.
It was Starman or something.
Star Wizards.
Star Guy.
Moon Wizards.
Moon people. Yeah, exactly.
Moon Wizards from outer galaxy.
Let me wave my magical lightsaber at you.
And Jar Jar.
So I just cannot shake the feeling that if Jar Jar is not the like supposed big bad of the prequels, there is something in there that was cut that is very, very important that we are supposed to learn.
You know what?
About.
There is something in the original 3 I feel like they cut that they should have added to it, which is the Jar Jar murder scene where Anakin just slices Jar Jar and throws him into space. I think that would have been a very appropriate scene for them to have left in the third movie.
I wish that if that theory had been true, I wish they had left that scene in, because that would have been an amazing turn. Like, you set up the first movie with this plot twist of him being this big bad, and then the second movie, I don't know how you could salvage the fucking second movie.
What's up, Blue?
That movie's awful, but
I was
the
going to say,
third,
I think Pat's being facetious.
Yeah, but
it's a good point.
Can you imagine how awesome it would be, though, if that theory were true and that scene were in the third movie? Like, after Anakin turns and, like, betrays, you know, whoever the fuck, I guess, like, Order 66, he just turns around and fucking slices the Lord of the Sith in half.
I mean, that would make a lot more sense as to how...
I'm Sith God now.
Yeah, well, it makes a lot more sense if that theory was true and that scene was added. It would make a whole lot
Yeah.
more sense as to why Darth
It also
Vader
makes
is the
him
badass
far
that he
more
is.
intimidating. Like, you understand why people fear him as much as they do more. Because, like, in the
Yeah.
in the original trilogy, like, he's the villain, but you don't really fear him, I would say. Like, except for the Force choke thing.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't really do anything to elicit that fear. But, like, if he just turns around and just fucking cuts in half the god of the Sith, and is just like, fuck you. You created this. Deal with it. That would be an amazing turn. That would redefine the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
if he
you
did
would
do
still
that,
have to deal with Jar Jar.
would he have known that Jar Jar was the big bad and then kills the?
I feel like he would know by that point.
Okay, so then why wouldn't he do that to the Emperor in any of the original trilogies? Why would he still be subservient to Palpatine?
I would imagine because he grew up more around the Emperor. Because he was involved with nobility for most of his life, wasn't he? If I'm remembering this correctly.
I think
Like,
so.
Yeah, I think so.
he would have had a far stronger relationship to the Emperor.
That's true.
Because like he's grown up around him.
And he kind of had that father
and
figure
plus
with
it is-
Obi-Wan until he thought Obi-Wan was the bad guy, and then now
Yeah.
that father figure went on to Palpatine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even then he didn't want to kill Obi-Wan. Like he tried not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And got his legs
So,
cut
Plus,
like-
it is the dark side as well, though, right? So, I mean, Palpatine could have been running things, even if Jar Jar was the Sith Master. You know, Palpatine's sort of like the puppeteer behind it. And,
Yeah,
you know, because
which is
it's the dark
essentially
side, it wouldn't have taken much for him to say to Vader, look, you got to kill, you know, mighty fucking
Yeah.
Sith guy here.
Yeah,
Which he
he
did
could
with Count
easily
Dooku.
like because like
Yeah.
Palpatine is depicted as this like power hungry, controlling dude anyway. Like it would make sense for when he sees that Anakin is ready and Order 66 gets executed.
Yeah.
He is like, now the last thing that we have to do is take out our leadership, not just theirs. And he just turned around and fucking cuts him in half unsuspectingly, and then suddenly Palpatine is Sith Overlord.
True. Yeah.
Done. Recast the entire fucking original trilogy right there with that moment.
Roll credits.
And that's why I feel like something very important with the Sith was cut. Like we were supposed to discover a big bad that was bigger than Palpatine. Like otherwise there is no reason for like Count Dooku to exist in the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like Count Dooku was supposed to be, and that's like another part of the Jar Jar theory, but I think that is more true than any aspect of the theory. Like Count Dooku was never supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Who was supposed to be there was the big bad that they set up in the first movie, but they never did. So fucking like wooden bored ass Dooku is just there for some reason.
Well, if there is a untold story, maybe this is our opportunity to really get into that. But like
I think they will
with these original three, what like really threw me off personally was that the dialogue was so bad. Like especially in the second one, you know,
definitely. Oh
so
god, the whole second
love is
movie is just a
blinded you,
disaster.
and I'm like, are you kidding me? This is. I was like, that's when I was like, I'm out. I'm
That's
just gonna
when Pat
watch.
checked out.
I'm gonna watch the
I
pretty
literally
lightsabers.
did give up halfway through the second movie. I still to this day do not know what the last half hour of that movie is.
Yeah, it's.
Like, I will not watch it because it's just so much of a fucking slog of a movie.
Well, it's that, and then you know you have C-3PO like animating like through an entire droid warehouse where he's like flying through it and cracking jokes at the same time, and R2-D2's like flying around saving him, and it's just it's just the whole thing really kind of, I don't know, it just turned me off because you could tell there was such fan pandering to it,
Oh
and
my
that it
God,
wasn't
yeah.
genuine
Yeah.
to the story. And I was like,
Yeah.
I
I
feel
want to be told
to
a
this
story. I
day-
don't want to be like, oh look, Star Wars did this. Oh look, Darth Vader built C-3PO. Oh my god, that.
It's so the whole thing with C-3PO number 2 where he's like in that factory is so out of character for him because he is so like not whatever the hell happens there, and it also the part
Yeah.
where he's like in the droid on the droid being controlled, it's like, don't the heads control the body? Why is he there? Like what? That whole intervention of the joke wasn't funny, but like the best part of 2 was that big ass lightsaber battle at the end, and it's like if we
Oh,
could have
yeah, in the
had a
arena.
cool build up until then, I would have been okay, but like I had to waddle through bullshit to get to this really cool fight scene, and I was like, man, that sucks.
And then the
my
way that they
theory
kind
is
of
just
go ahead.
that I feel like my theory is that the first two movies, if not written, were plotted out before the third movie, before they even bothered touching the third movie. And then when they had to cut whatever they had to cut, they didn't actually retool the second movie around that. They just kind of slapped some shit in and were like, well, whatever, this will work. Which is why I think some of the dialogue is so stilted, is that, like, it was supposed to be in an entirely different context.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
And like
Could
at
be.
the end of episode 3, where the convenient way of making it so that C-3PO remembers nothing is, oh, wipe these droids' memories. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
They could have come up with a
Yeah.
much more clever, interesting way to say that
Yeah.
why they don't recall any of this stuff, but cop
Yeah,
out.
they could have
Yeah,
just
that's
left
why I
out the
like the
fan
Topher Grace
service
edit as much as I do.
of
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
Anakin become Darth Vader, and then just the droids don't know.
Yeah. Like, they just don't know who the fuck Anakin
Yeah,
is.
they think
Like, they
Anakin
don't know who
died.
Darth Vader is. Yeah, they watch him die, so they're just like, all right, well, I guess he's dead.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, fucking Space Dracula is just roaming around. we don't know who that could be.
Oh, Space
But,
Dracula.
Yeah. Space Dracula, dude. I'm actually pretty sure that is a movie now that I think about it.
It probably is.
I think because they made it around the same time that Jason X was a thing.
Mm.
Because I distinctly remember there being some kind of Dracula 3000 bullshit in space.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Oh, man.
old school horror, right? They got to go
Oh,
somewhere. I mean,
copyright
almost
laws
everybody's
give
gone to
us some
space.
Beautiful gifts.
Leprechaun's gone to space. Jason's gone to space.
Dude.
That's all you do to make a great movie.
Thanksgiving went to space for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, Dan, like, in your opinion, because you say you only watched it like 7 years ago, the whole thing.
Yeah.
What would this new Star Wars movie have to do to like redeem itself to you? Be like, okay, this got answered. This is what I want to see.
I mean, for me, I'm not really into the I'm not into the story that much. I know that sounds
Get
really
out.
stupid. No, like
I would agree, honestly.
the story
Like-
is what it is. Like that's not why I'm gonna watch it. I don't know what it is that draws me to the movie, but it's not the storytelling because I can
think it's
easily
the
go. I can
atmosphere.
easily go and find the book
Mm-hmm.
and read it and find out what the story's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that to me that's just as good because I'm not your typical like film watcher.
Okay, let's move on to a Star
Yeah,
Wars fan.
I would
Banjo?
actually
Oh.
sort of agree with Dan here. Like, I think the story of Star Wars, fucking wizards in space with laser guns and giant laser planets,
Yeah.
is not really much to write home about. But I think that there is no other franchise whose movies like make you feel like a part of something epic as much as Star Wars. Like, for whatever reason, those movies just get it, other than the prequels, because fuck those. But like the original three, even though if you watch them back now, the stories are actually very small scale plot wise. Like, they involve big scale things, but like the basic stories of each movie are very basic.
Yeah.
Like, they are centered around one small objective, and they're knowingly doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's like that is how you do like epic scale things right. Is that you make the atmosphere around the plot feel like a large machination,
Mm-hmm.
but when you bring it down to the plotting level, you only focus on your character's objective.
Yep.
That's it.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the only reasons that I ever picked up the MMO, the Star Wars MMO that came out a few years ago,
Yeah.
was because I was
Like,
in
it
the
just
middle
does
of
it
watching
so
all
well.
of those movies, and I was like, man, it would be really cool to be in that world. And then my buddy was like, you should get in on the beta. It's in Tatooine. I was like, what's Tatooine?
Get out.
He was
Yeah.
like,
Get
oh,
out.
the beginning of episode 4. Whatever. And
That's
I'm like,
kidding.
oh,
It's
okay,
just such
cool.
a
And then like I played
well-designed
the beta
world.
and I was like, man, this is fucking awesome. And then once the game opened, they were like, you could go to the Sarlacc pit. And I was like, you can? Like, it was awesome
That's cool.
to be in
That
that
is cool.
world. And like, so I mean, that just goes to show you that it's not necessarily the story, it's more the world.
It's the immersion that it
the
provides
immersion into
you.
that
Like,
universe.
Video
It's like-
games could learn from Star Wars because, like, it is one of the most immersive franchises or like pieces of media that there is, and it does it just through the movies, like just through the world that it surrounds itself in. Because no one gives a shit about the space wizards. Like they're cool, and they give us some great lightsaber fights, but like, come on, at the end of the day, who the space wizards are only tertiary awesomeness. Like what the reason that you care about Star Wars is because like the worlds and like the characters and stuff like that. Like they're just so unique and interesting just on their own merits.
Yeah.
And then the space wizards are cool though. They help, but they're not like the people that you remember from Star Wars are like Han and Leia and I guess to a sort of extent Luke, like the more normal people of the universe.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very true. So I don't know.
Space
Like
magic.
I'm gonna see the new movie. I don't think it. I don't think I'm not gonna see it. I'm not gonna look out for reviews and be like, was it good or bad? Because I'm not that kind of movie watcher anyway. Like you could tell me the whole plot right now, beginning to end, and I would still go watch it and see a completely different movie than what you told me.
I'm curious to hear what your thoughts, Dan, are of the movie based on what you've seen as of now. Like, even if you're not interested in going to like seeking it out to go see it, like
No, it's not. It's not that
I'm curious like how you view it currently.
It's not that I'm not seeking it out. It's just that I don't like crowds to begin with.
Understand.
And I'm not gonna fight through, like we talked about this at the beginning of the podcast. Like I'm not gonna worry about trying to book tickets and go to some crowded theater and have a bunch of assholes talk through it that have seen it 4 or 5 times already. Like I'm just gonna wait until the crowds die down. I'll go see it in the theaters, but probably not until the new year sometime. But I still want to see it. Like I'm interested as hell to see what the hell that the sword looking lightsaber is. Like the one that's got the
Claymore saber.
Yeah. Like I'm interested to see how that functions. What the hell is the purpose of the ones on the hilt? I don't get it.
It's
but
like
I want to see it.
You have the guards.
Yeah.
Do you guys, because has anyone seen the theory about why Luke's character has been like absent from any of the promos?
That he's like the super duper head Sith guy or whatever.
Yeah, well, not really the super duper head Sith guy, but like that he has like abandoned the Jedi in favor of like whether it's for the Sith or like because he doesn't like the way the Jedi's rules work and wants the Force to be more of an untamed thing. Because that's another theory I've seen floating around, is that like he has become a follower of the Force itself, not like of the Jedi.
I would say it's just one of those things where like the actor himself didn't age very well, so they don't want to ruin the trailers with his face.
Oh yeah,
I mean, because Mark Hamill,
probably.
I mean, he looks haggard as fuck.
Yeah, but like I feel like he could clean up nice if he tried. Like I just think he doesn't have a reason because he's a voice actor.
I think Kevin Smith ruined him for me by casting him as Cockknocker. I can't see him as anybody else.
Oh boy.
Oh my god.
That's every time I see Mark Hamill, I'm like, it's fucking Cockknocker.
Well, guys, you gotta understand that Luke, he's like 40 plus years old. At that age, his lightsaber's not working the way it's supposed to anymore. He has to, take
sputters
extra
out
things,
every now and then.
Really use the Force. It's tough for him.
Damn it, Pat.
Please.
It happens to every Jedi when they get older.
Well, the original ending for Star Wars Episode 6 was, I think he was supposed to like take the mantle from Darth Vader and become Darth Vader to understand why he did it. And
I heard that too.
Because there's an entire extended universe that is now no longer canon, where Han and Leia's daughter or son becomes the next Darth guy or whatever.
Darth guy.
I forget.
I don't remember what his name is.
No, I like it.
I knew it. I knew it before. I know that their son's name is
Darth
Jason.
Lucius.
Darth, what's his face?
Jason Solo, but I don't remember what.
Just Darth Lucas.
His Darth was.
It's like Darth Catechus or something.
I like that.
He is. It starts with a C. But
Fuck it, I'm on the internet right now. Why am I not googling this?
Go look at it.
Dude.
I've been staring at Google for like 20 minutes now, and I haven't Googled anything.
Darth Cadus. There we go. What did I say? Fucking something like that.
Darth Jason.
Catechus.
Catechus. Yeah, it's Darth Cadus, but. He and then the other two kids, because Leia also has twins. Ooh, they
oh come on,
destroy
twins don't work
something.
that.
Yeah. Kids don't work that way, but apparently they do. So there's like an entire extended universe, and I thought that J.J. Abrams was kind of bringing parts of that in because I had a theory.
It
I
would
have a
make sense.
theory that the
Disney has
newest,
been.
yeah, because
They have openly stolen from it, like
yeah,
on
like
amazing levels.
J.J. Abrams is like, man, I'm gonna sneak some extended universe shit in here, and Disney's like, don't. It's not canon. Stop. He's
Yeah.
like, I don't care.
Because like in the
Yeah,
extended
but you
universe,
can make it canon again because it was
Yeah.
originally canon.
I
Yeah,
think
and he can.
I think in this case it's different because like this was canon for a very long time and only recently got ruled out. And if there are good ideas in that canon, you might as well use them. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
That-
shit. At this point, it's just high quality fan fiction.
Yeah.
what everyone
basically.
was expecting with this was they were going to go along the route that, at least I think, they were going to go with Luke resurrects the Jedi Order and starts training his own Jedis underneath him. And then with him being absent from the trailer, they'd think, and the fact that they're saying that apparently no one believes that the Jedi had such a big deal in destroying the Death Stars, that he must have just went into hiding
It's
and
not
done
just
nothing.
that though. They straight up don't believe that the Force is a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not even just that they don't believe in Jedis. It's that like they don't believe the Sith are really a thing either.
Well,
Yeah,
by the time that 4, 5, and 6 occurred, people kind of are starting to fall out of it anyway.
Yeah, because that guy was
there's-
Sassin
there's,
Vader
like, no Jedi.
at the beginning of episode
Yeah, he
4
was
on the Death
sassing
Star.
Vader without knowing what he could do. It's like, I'm gonna sass Lord Vader, and they're just
And
like,
then he
"Dude,
choked him."
He's got some weird mumbo jumbo. Yeah.
I
Dude,
mean,
Vader's talking some mad shit up there. Like, I don't know.
you have to remember too, guys, though, that this is going to be another trilogy. So,
Yeah.
That's true.
you know, there's potential for some of this storylines to be in the second and or third movie.
Oh, definitely.
it could be the rise
you know,
of
it could be a situation
his
where
order.
Luke is generally not really in this upcoming movie because he's whatever assumed to be
I've heard
a
that he's
Sith
only
now,
got one scene.
and then movie 2 is all about him and going through the Sith Order and figuring shit out and breaking them from the inside or something. You know what I mean? Like,
See,
there's potential for a lot more story because there is 3 movies. There's 2 more coming out
Yeah.
after this one. So
the prevailing theory that I've actually been seeing a bunch is that Kylo Ren is going to take one or two of the kids hostage at the end of this first movie in some way, or like just hold them by the balls, and that whatever the fuck the pilot's name
it is Disney.
is going to turn out to be Han and Leia's kid, and basically he is going to torture him and force Luke to come out of hiding to train him in the Force, because he's not really that he doesn't
Maybe.
have that training. He has capabilities, but he's not like trained in any way, and the only person that can still train him is Luke, but he'll never train a Sith because of the destructive powers. So
Yeah.
he basically gets him by the balls and is like, you're gonna fucking do this or I'm gonna kill your best friend's kid.
that's interesting
And
too.
then
Yeah.
like that's the arc for the trilogy, is that like Luke has to train the big villain and then has to train the kids to beat the big villain.
That would be
That's
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of hope
And
that's where
I
they
hope
take it
that
now.
theory turns out to be true, honestly, because that sounds rad as fuck.
You need to hit up Abrams and tell him. Look,
I feel like
we've
he's already
decided.
thought of
We
it.
at Why Did Ask For have decided that this is where Star Wars needs to go.
Yeah.
And
Bring back Jar Jar, make him a fucking evil Sith Lord, then just
mean,
kill him again in like 20 minutes.
That's a
There you
big
go.
risk-reward system because everybody hates Jar Jar now.
Dude, but like if they make that theory true, I guarantee you the fandom's opinions of Jar Jar would flip over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and maybe if
like,
that theory
they
had
would
come
think
out
he
a
was
few
an
years
amazing
ago, they could actually steal it.
Oh yeah. Oh totally. Like they'll probably steal tons of
But if they
shit. They'll
called
steal
it,
Revan.
that'd be amazing.
They'll totally steal Darth Revan back and put him in something.
Oh yeah.
Wow. So I have a question. Go ahead. I have a question. So I recently rewatched a trailer, just a little while ago, and I don't know all the character names and stuff from all that, but like the black dude that's in the stormtrooper armor
Yeah.
what are the chances that he's like a descendant of Calrissian?
Highly likely.
Not high.
I'm gonna say
I mean, it
highly
would just be
likely.
Son or something because it's not that long
I'd
after.
say very unlikely, only because like there's nothing. Only in the Clone Wars, which would have been the original prequels,
Uh huh.
or just the prequels. Those were the only movies in which all of the stormtroopers are by default white because they're clones. But in the original trilogy onwards, they're not clones, they're just people, and they're not racist, except for, like, humans.
Right.
Well, I mean, the only
So,
reason
No, I
why
just wondered because it's like,
so it doesn't
the
really,
whole
like, he doesn't
trailer is
have to
all
be
white
related.
people.
well, I mean, because
And then he seemingly is like buddy beside Han at one point. It's like, well, if he was a stormtrooper, but now he's with Han, to me, the only thing that would make sense is if he was a descendant of Lando.
and that's
Or
what
if he's friends with the
Hmm.
pilot guy.
See, that's what I'm
and
saying
the
is
pilot
that
guy turns out to be Han's kid.
because
like,
of the narrative,
he doesn't necessarily have to be with them.
because of
Maybe.
the narrative, like commonplace things with movies like this, and them wanting to tie the worlds together, it's very likely that they're going to go for kind of like this cliche. It's Lando's kid, therefore Han leaves the Falcon to Lando's kid.
Maybe,
Call me
but
on it. I bet you it's going to happen.
Black Stormtrooper's not really a pilot, though.
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Well, he flies the ship down to the surface to crash land or whatever, but he's not really a pilot. The designated pilot of this series is whatever the fuck the white dude's name is, Han's kid. So, like, I'm not sure I would understand if they went that route.
No, it just hit me as a thought when I was watching a trailer.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, but I'm just not sure they would do that.
The thing that I want to know is where did this new guy get all of these stormtroopers from? Because they're all clones from the original 3 all the way through 4, 5, and 6. They're all clones of the same guy, and it's like, well,
4, 5, and 6, they're not clones anymore.
I thought they said they were clones in 4, 5, and 6.
No, that's
No.
the Galactic Civil War. The clones pretty much in between 3 and 4. Sometime in that time period. Yeah, no, after the Clone Wars, they stopped cloning, period. Because they just decided, nah, fuck this, we don't want to do this again.
Yeah.
In the Galactic Civil War, they just start recruiting people.
I just really want to see that fight with the lightsaber and that stormtrooper who has like that lightsaber deflecting thing.
Yeah,
That
very
looks
interesting.
yeah.
Because it looks like they've also rated the extended universe for the vibro weapons, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the homemade lightsabers, which is never really caught up upon in the original books or the original
Oh,
stories.
God, yeah.
Because obviously the
Yeah.
bad guy's lightsaber is homemade, but they never talk about that in the original stuff, I don't think.
Well, there was a deleted scene where Luke builds his lightsaber.
And, like, if they get the crystals that way, it stands to reason that a Sith could, like, acquire a crystal just because, like, you just buy it and then make it if you knew the process already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's entirely possible.
I mean, his name's
So-
Kylo Ren, so it's not. He doesn't have to be a Sith. Or at least not a Sith Lord.
Well, a lot of people think he's just, like, like, a collector. Like, it's not even necessarily that, like, he is just obsessed with Darth Vader
Yeah.
because he collects all of his stuff, and it's not necessarily because he wants to be evil, it's just that he is so obsessed with this figure that he wants to do what he did.
Mhm.
So it's not an inherent evil, it's more like, this is my idol, and I want to accomplish what my idol failed to.
Given
make
that,
them
I
proud.
think that gives more weight to the Kylo Ren is Luke theory, because he'd want to learn more about Vader, and he wouldn't necessarily be evil.
I don't think he'll be Luke.
It's too obvious.
Yeah, I don't really
there's
think
any
so
way that
either,
they
but-
could- I don't think there's any way they could space magic their way out of that, because there's nothing in the universe that has ever suggested that that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Oh, they might be trying to mirror the Empire Strikes Back thing where it reveals that it's Luke's father, and they want to do another big reveal somehow. That would kind of be
Maybe.
the
I would
direction.
like the idea
Maybe.
that it turns out to be like Luke's, or I like the idea that it turns out to be Han's son, and that he turns out to be that Rey, or yeah, I think her name's Rey, turns out to be his twin. And those are the twins of Han and Leia, but they were separated at some point, and
Right.
Kylo just kind of, in the meantime, became obsessed with Vader. And, like, that's the big plot twist, is, like, Oh, by the way, they're twins, and by the way, it's your mentor's kid.
Yeah,
So, fuck you.
I feel that if they did the separated twins thing again, a lot of people will be disappointed.
Yeah.
Mm,
I mean, you have to remember too, now that it's technically owned by Disney, how dark are they going to go?
it's true.
I'm honestly not sure that they'll even tie it that much to the old generation because they've seemingly been very clear that they want this to be the passing the torch movie.
Yeah.
Right.
And they want to focus on this new generation. They don't want to keep bringing back the old characters.
I mean, that would totally make sense too. I mean, the only thing is, like we've said, you don't really see Luke too much in or at all in the trailers that have been released for this movie.
A lot of people think they're going to kill Luke at the end of this first movie.
It's very possible. And I mean, I wouldn't put it past Hamill to be like, yeah, I'll be in the Star Wars movie for 10 minutes of screen time. Figure it out.
I think, well, actually that's not true because he's already filmed scenes for 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they found, or they were like on set or something and saw him filming scenes for the 8th movie. I think what will actually happen is that they'll kill Han. I don't know how they'll do it, but I genuinely do think that they will kill Han.
Yeah,
I think that was a part of the original
because he's
script,
like he's the face of that generation.
Yeah,
like,
I totally, I could totally see it too, and Leia getting rid of her as well. Because if you are passing the torch, I mean, you got to sort of get away from Han, Luke, and Leia.
Oh, definitely. I don't think they'll kill Leia, but I think that like she just won't be a relevant character after this movie because Han will die and she'll just be
to make Chewie into a rug
broken.
Inside the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, they stuff him and put him in the corner of the control room of the new Death Star.
And it turns out the big bad is actually Mace Windu. There
you go.
You never actually saw him hit the ground, so
that's true. He just flew out the window.
Force bounced off a building.
Adam Driver just peels off his fucking luscious hair to reveal like this black bald head, and then you just realize, oh my god, it's Samuel L.
It's Nick
Jackson.
Fury. He's come to lead the Jedi Avengers. I love it.
Marcellus Wallace has come to rule the Star Wars Empire.
He's just pissed off that there's so many snakes on this fucking ship.
Yes, first order of business is to murder Jar Jar. They find him.
He goes under disguise for just 30 fucking years, and they let the whole Death Star get filled with snakes.
Right?
A bunch of assholes.
Great movie.
Yeah,
5 stars.
All right, guys. We are pretty much at time here, so we'll go over a couple little final thoughts here, and then we're going to wrap up.
My final thoughts are go watch the movie. Don't spoil it, but go watch the movie. Don't be that person that spoils it, but go watch the movie.
Yes, please. Don't be a dick. If you see it, great. Talk to people that have seen it, great. But don't go all over fucking Facebook and Twitter and everything else and fucking spoil plot points. Don't be that guy.
Snape kills Dumbledore.
Remember, kids, don't be cunts.
Don't be that guy.
There you go. Don't be cunts. So, all right, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you to all my guests, and thank you for listening. And may the Force be with you.
Why did
Jar Jar was real. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Jar Jar is the Sith Lord.